Hi everyone! So today we're going to make a vision board. I recently posted that I tend to do this for each year, and I've gotten lots of requests to share how I go about doing that. So I thought I would show you because it's much easier when you can actually see what I'm doing and I can kind of talk over it. So you'll need two things. One, a kind of app where you put your images in, and secondly, the images themselves. Now for the images, I have used Pinterest quite a lot. I've always been obsessed by Pinterest. I've used it since the beta, and you know, pretty images and stuff. And I personally keep a board of, for instance, yoga. I often put yoga things in my vision boards, as well as, for instance, quotes. So you can see some quotes in here. But even if you don't keep your own pins, you can search for things. So if you say Japan, because you're going to travel to Japan, or you want to put something in like that in there, you can search, and then lately there have been a lot of these kind of blog posty type pictures with text over them, which is a bit of a shame, but you can find some really nice artwork or photography. One I picked earlier, I think, was a Fuji, this one, which I really enjoyed. Now the source is of course Flickr, but I'm using it for my personal vision board, so I didn't really look into the kind of accreditation of the images too much because it wasn't anything I was going to share with anyone. So yeah, Pinterest is one way of doing it. There is of course also Unsplash, which I use a lot for my presentations. Ooh, I like this one actually. And it's just image after image after images of really pretty things. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you can't search for anything in particular, but if they happen to have something that you think represents what you want to go for, then that's great. So yeah. Okay, so I've got some images now that I've basically dragged off the internet that I want to use for my vision board. So how do we now make that into this grid-like, image representation? Now I'm using Sketch, which I think is an app that a lot of people nowadays have or are getting more and more used to. I think it's probably one of the more popular graphical software amongst developers, especially because it's so useful for app UI and such. So yeah, and it's basically what I use to create my 2016 board. So you've got the concept of artboards. I just pressed A to get this up, and what I want to do actually is I want to print this out and hang it up somewhere. So I start off with a A4 artboard. Now when I drag on an image, basically this image is going to be the entire board. Now normally you can work with kind of an @1 resolution, because everything you're going to do is going to scale because it's vector based. Because we're dealing with images, you don't want to make them too small, and you definitely don't want to have to size them up too big. So what I do is I make this about 3 times as dense. So I multiply the width and height by 3, and now we get, it's not quite A3, it's not quite A2, this kind of weird in between thing. But as you see now, if I drag an image on there, it's a bit better. Because you've got smaller ones as well. So this seems like it would fit a grid square-like structure a bit better. So now you want to think about how many, squares or things do you want on your vision board. I've always gone with a 6x4 grid, so 24 things. I think that gives you enough things. It's a bit more than your average kind of New Year's resolutions, I think. Gives you something to aim for. So yeah, I like to err on the more side than fewer sides. So let's get started with that. Now to have it all evenly spaced, basically what I've done is I make a box that is the entire space. Now if we're going to have 4 columns and 6 rows, it means that there will be 3 gaps, as it were, between the 4 images on one row. So what I do with the width is, firstly I subtract 10 pixels on the left hand side here that I want to have as padding, and 10 pixels there. So we're going to do -20. Then you want the 10 kind of pixel gutter, you want a 10 pixel gutter in between those 4 images, so you want to subtract another 3 times 10, because you're going to have 3 gutters, so it's going to be minus 30. And then the final amount that you end up with, you want to divide that by 4, because that's going to be the size of each box. Now the same thing with the height. You again want a 10 pixel padding at the top as well as the bottom, so we do minus 20. And then because it's going to be 6 rows, you're going to have 5 gutters in between each row, so you do minus 50. And then this again, we divide by 6. What you're left with is the size of your square basically. And if you then move that to 10 by 10, that's where your grid is going to start. So what I did with this then, and it's a shame because this is not exactly even, so there'll probably be a slight disalignment, but I'm going to go with it. I'm pressing Alt to drag and create a new box of the same size, and I'm going to move it 10 pixels down so we have that same spacing in between. And then at this point I'm literally just duplicating things, so I'm going to put that at 0 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, moved it 10 further. This then we copy and move there, and again move it 10 down. Copy both of those, Alt drag, and once more. And there you have it, a perfectly spaced grid. I know there is a kind of like a repeat function in Sketch where you can kind of make a copy of one and then you can keep pressing the shortcut. I think it's Command J off the top of my head to create more things with the exact spacing. But I like this because, you know, it gives you complete control of like how you want your gutters and your padding, and I just went for a simple 10 pixel border all around. So now you have a bunch of gray squares. What are you going to do with them? Well, basically these are going to act as the masks for the images that you have. So what you can do is drag in an image, for instance this one, because I want to get my driver's license next year, because I don't know how to drive, which is quite embarrassing. So you can say, okay, I want it roughly like that, and then I hide it. It's a bit of a weird thing, but anyway, I hide it, and then pressing Command, I select it again, make it visible, and hit Mask, which means I now have this image. Now if you want it to be slightly different, you know, you can toy with the original, and you can move it up, you can move it down. So I liked it the way it was, to be honest. Something like that, maybe a bit. Something like that. That's fine. So I'm going to leave it like that, and I then renamed this for the actual thing it stood for. So that is license. Great, so we've done that one, so I moved that off to the side, and then, let's see, I want to do more painting, because I really enjoy painting, and let's do that, like that. I click this, Command click the new image, show it, mask it, and again, I can go in and move things around a bit if I want to. So you can keep doing that until all your squares are filled. Okay, so as you can see, I have dragged in all the images. What I've done here is I've kept the gray box. I just gave it a different fill color, and I just put, you know, some typography in there to display the year, so we know which year it's applicable to, and that's pretty much it. Now, there seems to be quite a nice color palette and theme going on here, I think, and the Swift logo is quite bright in all of this. So Sketch now also lets you do a little bit of adjusting of images. So what I'm going to do is take color adjust here, and I can actually dim the saturation a bit. I'm going to make it a little bit brighter, a little bit more desaturated, So I feel like it blends in with the entire theme a bit better. So there you have it, a very quick and easy way to make any kind of grid-like image structure that you want. I just happen to use it as a vision board. You can then rename this and call it, I don't know, 2016. Export it as PNG, a PDF, wherever you want. So let's do that. And then here you've got it. Quite simple. Oh, please note that by default, at least for me, it doesn't export the background image. This is actually transparent. If you do want it to be white, not Skype, Sketch. If you do want it to be white, then upon exporting you can actually tick include the background color, and you can change it to say dark as well if you want, which actually also looks quite cool. So you can press export and then replace it. And now you can see the solid color behind it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you make any, let me know. I'd love to see them, and have a wonderful 2016. See you!